One. Hi everyone, let me know if you can hear me. It's Naomi Wolf, and I'm here today to talk about how, under the guise of a very real medical emergency, which is the theme of all of these videos, um, our local laws are being bypassed, or end runs are being done around standard checks and balances, democratic processes in ways that we can't always see. So my subject today is my home community. This is a beautiful part of upstate New York, which has benefited from really good zoning for the last 20 years. And what that means is that the environment is very clean. Even though we're only 2 hours from New York, you can see over there, there's woods with deer, and we saw a bobcat, there are opossums, there are various amazing animals and endangered species as well in this area, box turtles, and they're thriving. It's a thriving ecosystem. We're on the border of, thank you, I'm told it's loud and clear. We're on the border of, and now I'm going to try to really show you this beautiful 200 acre wilderness called Taconic State Park. So it's a precious place, and all of you, wherever you live around the world, have precious places, and they're protected by good zoning, and they're ruined by bad zoning. And this seems like a very, very nerdy subject, and I know a lot of you are thinking, you know, I usually love Naomi's videos, but this is going to be super boring. Please bear with me, because if you understand some basics about zoning in America, and I can speak to any of your communities on special request about zoning, you can protect what is your most important asset, which is your family home, and you can protect the environment more effectively than really anything happening on a federal level. You have a lot of power to save the planet in your own backyard with good zoning. So what is happening right now in Columbia County, where I live, is that lockdown, and this is happening around the world as well, but I'm just going to focus on this microenvironment. Lockdown has allowed a lack of scrutiny of local laws. And just today, I saw that in my email. I happened to be notified, because it's not in any local news, that the state of emergency due to coronavirus here in New York State, Columbia County, has been extended for another 30 days by Governor Cuomo. So that is a pretty big deal. And what, you know, you've got to understand, I've been trying to explain to everyone, a state of emergency means that ordinary law can be suspended, that you can, you know, you have the right to not have the due process of law that is required under ordinary circumstances. So the state of emergency just got quietly extended for 30 more days due to coronavirus without any citation of any medical research, any verifiable COVID data in our community. And our community has been very, you know, low compared with other communities in New York. We've been lucky for coronavirus infections. But as a citizen, I can't check, right? I've been told by my governor that coronavirus has caused a state of emergency to be extended for another 30 days, but I cannot verify the data of coronavirus infections in Columbia County. And I've talked elsewhere about the bad data behind this medical emergency. But what it does is that the fact that it's an emergency means that we can't gather in our local town hall. And again, this may seem very nerdy, very trivial. And by the way, what you hear behind me are trees being chopped down by the energy company, and I just used my access to New York state law to stop them from chopping down some of my trees without being able to check with the law. So I'm telling you, knowing the law in your community, in your state, is the way to protect democracy. I literally just saved a tree by confronting the tree people and saying, where does it say in New York state law that you can come on my land and chop down my trees? So with this state of emergency, we can't gather in Ancram, the town that kind of governs local, where we live, and inform our neighbors about local law too. The other thing it means is that the usual public notice, which American zoning law requires, certainly in New York State, it isn't effective. Like, people aren't congregating at the general store, they're not hanging out in town, they're trying not to go to the, to buy groceries. And so as a result, the community bulletin board, where the notice of this public hearing is supposed to take place, they got away with not posting it, essentially, in some of the main places that under ordinary circumstances public notice has to be presented. And the last thing is, and again, please bear with me because I'm really talking about what we're losing by losing what I'm calling analog spaces under the guise of this very real medical emergency. If my neighbors and I were gathering tonight, which is when the zoning board is telling us about local law 2, if we were gathering in person, I could lobby my neighbors. I could print up copies of what I'm about to share with you and hand them out to people. Just because it's not digital doesn't mean that's not a very radical thing to do. Paper and gatherings are the most radical way, the most radical technologies of protecting democracy, protecting our homes, informing each other, and staying empowered. So when everything is forced into digital space, you lose that, right? And I didn't even know that there was a town hall hearing until I was notified by my neighbors electronically. And then I was told by the town manager, oh, you don't happen to be on this email list. Well, public notice isn't about happening to be on an email list. Public notice is a letter has to be sent to you. Notifications have to be up in community spaces and so on. So coronavirus is allowing a lack of transparency. The other thing that is concerning is that we keep being told that the Zoom town hall meeting tonight about local law 2 is not the place for debate, right? And we keep being told also that the decision's already been made. I was told that multiple times by the town manager, Art Bassett. Well, town meetings, you can say whatever you want, right? In the United States of America, First Amendment, a town meeting, freedom of assembly, right of a government, of the people peacefully to assemble, means you can say whatever you want in a town meeting. If you want, short of shouting fire in a crowded theater, short of making threats of violence, you can filibuster, you can lobby, you can ask follow-up questions, you can confront your representatives. That is the way our founders set up our system. And little town hall meetings are, don't disregard them. We need to relearn the technology of how to run a small town hall meeting, how to show up and regain, using common sense and responsibility, our analog public spaces, because when we are, driven home onto virtual spaces, we can be managed and censored. And that is really what's happening with the rushing through and the misinformation around local law 2. Also, when you're doing everything digitally, you can hide documents, and I'm not trying to say anyone's intentionally hiding documents, but one of the things that town law calls for is that I have a right, any citizen has a right, to go into the town hall and ask the town managers to see all of these documents and also a map when there's a rezoning proposed. I went into the town hall and I wasn't given the map. And if I hadn't badgered the town hall managers for what law governs Ancram, which is a question I happen to know how to ask from Daily Clout, and I'm sharing with you, like, the town laws are like the operating system or the manual for your car of your town and your local community. So look up your town laws, how they're supposed to run, look up your town bylaws, print them out, hand them out to your neighbors, because we're being told, for instance, that it's already too late, which is not true, that the Ancram town managers are the ones who have the final say, which is not true. Columbia County has the final say. They can override, veto this decision, send it back for a revote. And, we're also having important documents like a map kept from us. So not okay. Lastly, I just want to say, obfuscation. right? We were directed in my little community by the town managers to this, I'm holding it up, it weighs 4 pounds. It's a printout that is, and it's called Town of Ancram Zoning, right? But this is not the Town of Ancram Zoning. This is a 260-page document that is a draft. It is a draft. So they took the 2014 Town of Ancram Zoning and they put in red lettering claiming that this is what's going to change in the zoning with local law 2. So why am I being so cynical and angry about that? And when I went to my town hall meeting and met with Art Bassett and Hugh Clark, the town managers and his colleague, they gave me this, and on the website that was, sent to all of us, they kept saying, look at this, this is what shows what's going to happen. Well, respectfully, nonsense. This is a valueless document. Do not be tricked, do not be dissuaded if you're given a draft bill. This has zero value of law. This means nothing. And when I talk about obfuscation and digital obfuscation, it's 260 pages long. The actual proposed local law filing is only 42 pages long. But this is what, when I was sitting opposite the town managers, they kept saying, look at this, look at this. And when I kept insisting, look, I work for Daily Cloud, I'm CEO of a legislative information company, draft bills mean nothing. We see dozens of revisions of a draft bill before something gets proposed formally and voted on, let alone turned into law. It means nothing. You can slip in a clause in a draft bill at the very end of the discussion, and it'll, give billions of dollars on a federal level to your buddy, right? Draft bills are meaningless. But again and again, I was told to look at this, obfuscating, overwhelming document. And when I said it's a draft bill, it has no meaning I was told I was stubborn. Another question I was asked was, how do you know your neighbors want you to inform them? So I would say respectfully, I know everyone has the best interests of my town at heart, but citizens shouldn't be verbally abused or called names or asked insulting questions when they are simply trying to find out what public law in the United States, public law in the state of New York, gives every citizen of New York as their legal right, which is to see the actual law. So I'm not going to burden you with going through this because it's meaningless, but please don't pay attention to it if you live in Ancram. This is what's meaningful, local law filing. You see, this was what I was given at the town hall. It's not filled out yet, and it's not signed, and yet we're being told it's too late, this has already been passed. I literally was told that by our town manager. So that's not true, but I'm going to quickly go through this, and those of you who don't live in Ancram, bear with me, and if you can, follow along, because even though these exact things might not apply to your exact community, you'll learn by this example and this walkthrough how to understand these zoning laws and how to protect your own community. So the headline for Local Law 2 is that this beautiful bucolic area, which supports so many precious ecosystems, so much wildlife, has been protected by 2-acre zoning, and agricultural zoning, and that's rural zoning, right? It's not strip malls, it's not commercial, it's not mixed-use commercial in my little hamlet. However, Local Law 2 does mean that it will be commercial use, that people can use their homes also commercially. Some people may like that, other people may not. It definitely allows doubling of the density, all right? Right now, you can't build a second home on your 2-acre lot. After Local Law 2 passes, if it does, you can build a second home up to 1,000 square feet on your 2-acre lot, which immediately, and again, some people will like that. There's a problem with affordable housing in rural communities. And, let's be direct, in second home communities, and a lot of these rural upstate communities are a second home economy for some people. Other working families, longtime families struggle to stay as property values go up. That's a debate to have, but let's have that debate instead of sneaking zoning that allows people to double, allows all, developers basically to buy plots right now that are zoned for one structure, one home, and allows a doubling of that. And what is 1 acre zoning? It is suburban zoning, all right? It means that instead of looking like countryside, it's going to look like a suburb. So you may want that, you may not, but as citizens in a democracy, you are entitled, if you live in the town of Ancram, to know that local law 2 will let you let anyone double the number of people living on a 2 acre lot and the structures. So another important headline is human feces. And I don't have a nicer way to say that. It smells beautiful where I am right now. The wind is blowing. You can see my ridiculous hair blowing all over the place. It smells like freshness, especially since the lockdown, I hate to say it, and the fact that biofuel-laden, flights are not overhead all the time. The skies are blue, the air is clear, humans and animals thrive in the fresh air. This local law 2 allows biosolids to be spread all over agricultural land, and there's agricultural land, literally right past my neighbor's house. So these include new land uses in Ancram not addressed in 2014 zoning, such as short-term rentals, right? This is why you were being directed to a draft bill instead of, this document being posted. Short-term rentals, special event venues, spreading of biosolids and septage, translation, human feces, and it also directed town to better address accessory uses, guest houses, number of dwellings per lot. So I'll get to that. But the second headline is human poop. Okay, you may think it's a good idea, you may not. But right now you cannot spread human waste, nicely treated though it may be, on your agricultural land in Columbia County, in this little Ancram zoning. But with this passing up the road, if it's zoned agricultural, human poop as much as you want with this zoning. And so this is the town, Boston Corners, and this is something I'm going to hold up because all of you need to really understand it if you want to protect your own communities. It's a use table, okay? Don't be intimidated. It's simply, in every community of yours that you live in, you can ask for this from your town managers, from the town hall. They have to give it to you. All right, Alan Winter says, thanks for your service. What is a use community? Again, zoning is embedded in code and secret language because it's so valuable, because the knowledge is so valuable. Developers don't want citizens to know how to read a zoning table. They want us to be baffled and feel like I'm not an expert, I don't understand, I'll just trust the powers that be. Well, there are many reasons for the powers that be to hand over zoning to not the citizens that live there. And no disrespect to our community managers, but everyone needs to understand what these tables mean. So this is what's changing. So the first change is right now, no more than one principal single-family dwelling or two-family dwellings should be permitted on each lot, and that is going to change. So this is the second thing. It's the use table about what's going to change, and this is our hamlet. So two-family dwellings permitted, accessory apartments permitted, ASPRs with a special permit, access, but it means it can be done, whereas before, it couldn't be done if there was an X, right? X means you can't do it. P means permitted. SUP means special use permit. And so once you know that, you won't be so intimidated by these tables. This shows accessory dwelling to single family dwelling when freestanding and less than 1,000 square feet in size. Permitted, all right? Accessory dwelling for more than 1,000 square feet in size, permitted with a special use permit. So as I was saying, this bucolic, rural landscape is going to be grabbed by developers who can now double their profits, put twice the density of houses on here. And it's very sneaky, respectfully, to call it an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit. No one who speaks English usually knows what that means. I happen to, because I'm a policy nerd and I'm a housing nerd and I'm an eco development nerd. But what it means is You can build a 1,200-foot house and it's just called an ADU. Yes, you can when this passes with a special permit. Short-term rentals. Again, some people like that, others don't. We've been Airbnb hosts. We love it. I use Airbnb, but it's not currently zoned for Airbnb. And a lot of people up here, want to know if the zoning is going to change the character from, people who live here, people who are not tourists, to a vast influx of short-term tourists. And, with that, crime rates will go up because that's what happens in touristy areas. So maybe you want Airbnb, maybe you don't, but you should know clearly that this rezoning, Local Law 2, allows you to run Airbnbs, but it also allows investors to buy up empty lots, put up 2 dwellings per lot, and just Airbnb them out. And a lot of cities around the world, like Portugal, are starting to put restrictions on Airbnb because they're finding that you lose the character of a local community. It's all tourists all the time who are not invested in the community, and and not local people. And so for sure that's going to attract investors. Class B biosolids, not allowed. X, when it's not an ag district, allowed with a special permit in a New York State ag district. Again, I can't say this enough, friends and neighbors, human feces. All right, I'm zipping along, bear with me. Winery, cidery, distillery, brewery, allowed. It can be more than 3,000 square feet or greater. We've had inquiries from a brewery owner for land right over that hill. It seems really cute and adorable. Who wouldn't want a little brewery? But it's connected to a gigantic German, industrial brewery. So that's not so adorable. That's not so local. And they would have a gigantic parking lot and lighting. So maybe you want that, maybe you don't. But the people of Ancram deserve to know that right over that hill, this would allow for a more than 3,000 square foot brewery. In other places in this beautiful area where wildcats and endangered tortoises and wetlands are, gigantic breweries, and that can be a tiny cute thing in keeping with our agricultural area, or it can be fucking Disneyland for breweries, taking this beautiful Hudson River Valley and turning it into a kind of agritourism charade, which God knows has happened in Cape Cod and in parts of San Francisco and in beautiful, in Yosemite, beautiful environmentally precious places all over the world. Very important. So it can be no limit to the brewery, and all kinds of home-based businesses are allowed with this proposed rezoning, which they keep saying is too late to change. Not true. And if you are doing it in your home, it's allowed. They claimed in the town meeting that was already the case. I haven't seen that. So I'm just going to tell you, until we can confirm this, I haven't seen it. I don't see any signs on my street or in Ancram for home-based businesses. It doesn't look like it's zoned for home-based businesses. If I wanted to start a business, I started an educational foundation around the corner. It took a lot of permitting to persuade them that we were not going to hurt the landscape and that it was a real educational entity. So this would allow tomorrow a bakery, a barbershop or beauty salon, a butcher right here on this bucolic street or anywhere in Ancram, Ancramdale, Boston Corners, commercial cleaning janitorial services, computer electronics, contracting offices and structures for excavating, construction, electrical, plumbing, heating, cooling, daycare, that could be very nice, demolition service, firearms sales. You may like it, you may not, but you should know about it. Furniture refinishing, a lot of people wouldn't object to that. Lawn garden landscape service, that's fine. Logging contracting, logging. Right around here you can hear the sound of just the phone company cutting down trees near me. What if other trees could be logged in this beautiful, beautiful, environmentally precious area? Massage service, well, massage services and tourists, that's a fabulous combination for not particularly community-oriented energies. Medical claims processing, midwife, that's nice, nursing home care services, photography, physician, chiropractor, alternative medicine. A lot of people wouldn't object to that. Professional office. So again, up and down this, I mean, I just can't even describe to you how beautiful this area is and how well protected. It can all be a strip mall if you keep the strip basically home-based. Small animal grooming, tailor seamstress, tanning salon, tattoo body piercing, taxi limousine service. Again, I'm not trying to like share my biases. Some people may really want a tattoo parlor or a massage parlor, you know, right here in Ancram. Other people might not, but you need to know that it's going to change the flavor of this community. Telemarketing facility or service. So these are real businesses, right? They're not all tiny little home daycares or furniture refinishing that you can do in your basement. Tanning salon I mentioned. I'm just going to zip through for non-residents, but what I'm sharing with you, I hope you see the value of knowing these codes, because every community in America has a use table and a zoning law, and you need to know how to read them and not be bullshitted by people, frankly. All right, so this on page 23 explains that you can build another house that's 1,000 square feet or more on your 2-acre property, and then you can build a second structure on the 2-acre property as long as you get a special permit. Logging, all right? So a logging permit is required for any commercial logging activity that proposes harvesting more than 50,000 board feet of timber. This also shall include commercial logging operations that use a portable log chipping plant to process the equivalent of more than 50,000 board feet, or the equivalent weight of whole trees or tops limbs for pulp at the site of forest operations. So gigantic logging operations right here in this heavily forested, beautiful area. You should know about it, Columbia County. And I'm going to zip through a couple more pages. Permanent signs. We talked about those home-based businesses. You know, a lot of home-based businesses could be really nice. A lot of people need to supplement their income, run a daycare center, you know, be a plumber, whatever. I empathize. I work at home. But permanent signs are allowed, having a maximum of 6 square feet per side. You can put up billboards now if you're a museum, library, school, and public structures, right? Church, of 20 square feet per side. Gigantic, gigantic billboards. This is, you know, the Hudson River Valley is famous. It's been famous since the Hudson School of Painters for being incredibly beautiful. There are no signs. There are no billboards. The signs there are in commercial districts, they're very small. A huge reason this is so beautiful here. This will change it. This allows 1 freestanding sign and 1 building mounted sign per non-residential use. Tons of signage. And the signs go on and on and on. They could go up to 24 square feet, 8 feet high. All right, these are gigantic, sprawly, strip mall commercial signs, banners, 12-foot square, in parking lots, on lawn areas. Again, strip mall aesthetic. And you may want that. I'm not judging. My job at Daily Cloud is to just explain and be as neutral as possible. That you need to read your local zoning, your proposed zoning, and you know it'll say things about signage. And you need to understand what are you still there? You need to understand what the signs mean. All right. Land application, biosolids, back to human poop. All right. To establish a review process to allow human waste to be spread all over the landscape. Here's short-term rentals. I talked about that, Airbnb, and basically it allows them. And so what you're getting now, if you put it all together, please, is a vision of a completely different community in which there will be signs and billboards everywhere. There will be commercial breweries, distilleries, cideries, they wanted to add, that could be 3,000 square feet or bigger with their attendant parking lots, lighting, and so on. Short-term rentals, right? You get where we're going, and we've got a beautiful rail trail here. Servicing. the flow of tourists and weekenders that are going to be, coming through, enjoying the beauty until it's gone, enjoying the beauty until it's gone. And meanwhile, these developers are going to make a fortune. Lastly, this is my, the thing that's closest to my heart, special events facilities. And again, what is that? It sounds so neutral. Everyone likes a special event. What's a special event? However, right now, you can't build a big fucking, convention center to have a wedding in, or a bar mitzvah, or a, corporate weekend in this area. It's zoned residential. It's rural zoning. All right. This page 36 of Local Law 2 allows for special events facilities, and pardon my language. And what do you get to do? You get to build it. It can have a noise level not exceeding 55 decibels of music allowed from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on weekdays until midnight on Fridays and Saturdays. All right. So at night here, in spite of the sound of them cutting down trees that are not on my property, and I hope whoever's property they're on consents to that, or else asks the building company, the phone company for the New York state law that allows it, as everyone should. But right now at night, it's silent here. In the daytime, you hear birds. At night, you hear silence. You hear coyotes. You hear owls. You hear nothing but the beautiful sounds of nature. This will be Staying Alive, or, hits of the 90s, or, heavy metal, depending on whose bar mitzvah or whose wedding or whose corporate retreat, till midnight on, every weekend. And it can have traffic and circulation of a certain amount, and it has tents and stages and dance floors, that can be built. And how big can those event spaces be? No limit. No limit to the size. No limit to the size of the event spaces. Outdoor lighting. They can have 24 square foot signs for this hypothetical event space. And I'm telling you, as a political consultant, that when there's this much detail going into what can be done with a law, it means there's already someone waiting to do it. I guarantee it. Dust control, all right? So how many people can they have? 500 people, including staff, at any given time. 500 people can be there. And how big can the parking lots be? Enough for one. They have to have one parking space for every 2 people. 250 person parking lots. Right here, where the coyotes live, where the bobcat lives that we saw the other night, where there are bears and rattlesnakes, because this is an intact ecosystem. They're going to create more than 500, up to 500 people, up to 250 person parking lots in this precious landscape. Notification of hearing, the planning board will let you know if they're going to build this right next to you, but no special event facility shall be allowed to exceed an attendance level of 500 people. This is page 40. So respectfully, now you can see this floating away. Respectfully, Mr. Margasson and other, leaders of this community, you've done a beautiful job protecting this community till now, but really you should not have buried that information on page 40 of Local Law 2, which really you should have given in writing by mail to every single person in this community. So that is my wrap up of what's proposed here. And then I want to take your questions or comments, or else go on to another live video, as I promised you. Again, human waste, short-term rental, doubling of density, and event spaces that are 500 people big, that have parking lots. Whoa! I guess I've called up the wrath of nature. Basically, if you live in Ancram, share this information with your neighbors and show up to the town meeting. It's tonight at 7:30 on Zoom. But don't stop there. even in a mask, you can lobby your neighbors. Even in a mask, you can pass out local law 2 and lobby the zoning board. You weren't told to, which is, in my view, an egregious misstatement. But, it's your obligation as a citizen to tell the members of the zoning committee what you feel. And as I promised, I'm going to find out whom you can call in Columbia County to express yourself. And, of course, express yourself politely and civilly, but, free and frank debate is what our country should be engaged in. It's what the founders intended. No one's supposed to pass laws in darkness, and you all deserve to know what's going on in your community. And the rest of you, you deserve to know, and I hope you've learned from my little, I hope not too nerdy exegesis, how to read a zoning bill, and then you can get to work mobilizing your own neighbors to lobby to protect your own environment. Any questions or comments, or shall I wrap this up and do, as I promised, another video right away on global issues related to the pandemic? All right, so thank you all. It's Naomi Wolf, it's Local Law 2, it's Daily Clout, it's Columbia County Zoning, and friends, neighbors, I'm asking you personally, please, you have your own views, but please, I'm asking you to debate and share and be very, very mindful of this beautiful, precious land that we're entrusted to protect. All right, while we build community. Thank you all, and join me in a minute if you're a global audience for the update on the rest of the issues that we care about. Thank you so much. See you in a minute.